was horrible.
Oh no.
I know. I'm a terrible mother. I was bawling.
No.
Builds character.
Yeah, exactly.
But like Disney employees came out of the woodworks. And like, what's going on? And I'm like, my daughter hit her head. And
oh no.
Was she okay though? She was fine though.
She was fine. She had a very bad abrasion on her head, and so there's actually a doctor like on site, and
I imagine they have to have like
no questions asked, and they even like a pediatric doctor like looked at her.
Wow.
She's fine.
That's awesome.
You brought your kids to Disney. You're okay. I'm like, I'm so.
You're like, this is supposed to be the happiest place on earth.
Right? Well, my other daughter and my husband were on a ride, and so they're like, "Are you just here with your son and your one daughter?" I'm like, "No, my husband is gone. Not here." No, Maggie was fine. She ended up being fine. So we're hoping this year she doesn't hit her head. So.
Honestly, I feel like with every trip that we've done to Disney, we've learned something new, and it's always okay. All right, this time around, like. I know what to bring, what to have in the backpack. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We've got the app all figured out. We're going to like sign up for these rides or whatever. I mean, it's fun, but it's just, it's a lot. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
But I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And like, they made so much progress on that construction because I thought it was going to take them way longer than it was.
Yeah, because we thought we were going to be, backstory, Dave, we're going to Disney. And they announced today that Star Wars Land was opening, and we're going to be there when it's open. So I'm excited.
Oh.
Can you appreciate that, Dave?
I do. I definitely do appreciate that.
My son is so excited. I'm so excited. I can't
That's
wait.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We would all be super excited.
I'm very jealous of your son right now.
Because, he's, my daughters are all about the princesses, and he's like, meh.
Princess is stupid. Except for Princess Leia, she's cool.
Can I just play Fortnite all the time? That's what I hear a lot.
Yeah. They turn men
How
into
old are your
children.
kids again?
What'd you say?
How old are your kids again, Ashley?
Max is almost 8. And then May is 5. And then Maggie is 2.
See, that's the thing. They'll be able to enjoy it more too, because my kids are like 4 and 3. So it's like they can't get on all the rides yet,
Yeah. Max will be tall enough for everything, which will be awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. All right.
That's perfect. Well, I'm glad we got the stream back. I don't think I don't know if the streams skipped a beat. All I know is that I got bounced out of the chat. It wasn't recording. I managed to get to where I think your daughter hurt herself, and I think
Maggie, yes, she fell out of the stroller at Disney. Yeah.
Oh God.
And like one guy was a paramedic. It was a dad, and he just like ran up to me. He's like, "I'm a paramedic," and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm gonna check and see if her neck is broken." I'm like,
"Oh my God, please do!"
Oh my gosh.
It was horrible. And I had like one of those portable fans on the stroller, and a mom took it off the stroller and was holding it on my face.
Oh my
Like it's gonna be. I wasn't like hyperventilating. I was just my daughter had hit her head. So
I'm just like visualizing the whole thing.
It was so bad.
Oh God.
My husband comes off that like dinosaur ride it was at Animal Kingdom, and he comes off that ride, and he like sees all these people around me, and my son runs up to him, Maggie hit her head, and he's like, what? So, and we met Pocahontas right after that, and she's like, oh my dear, what happened to your head? And I'm like, she fell.
You're a bad mother.
I'm a terrible mother.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20 though, right? I mean, like, do you still feel like you're a bad mother? Like,
you know what? She is named after Maggie from The Walking Dead. And
that's right.
She is strong, and she is resilient, and she cried when she hit her head, but after that, she was just like, what the fuck is next? Like we're at Disney, Mom. Like,
did she literally tell you stop being a bitch? Like,
she
sack up.
Right? Well, she was 9 months old at the time. So.
Damn, that's a filthy mouth for 9 months old. It's just a filthy mouth for 9 years old.
A little bit, yeah.
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 You're like thinking about it right now. It's like, oh my God, we're off to a bad start. For everybody that's joining us right now, just I think an update on the stream is that the YouTube one started over, and we're 5 minutes in. Facebook is still, Facebook is still surprisingly on at 30 minutes in, and we bounced right back into Instagram, I think. So I think we're good. Yeah, a lot of people checked in. Iron Eagle Creations, shout out, Miss Mazel. Carol, your husband's on Instagram as well, I think. No, he bounced onto Instagram.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, diversity. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I think we still have Superfan Rob. We have Wilani. We got Johnny Fives Alive. Excellent editor. Funny as fuck. And Pretty Wicked Ghoul. Nashville Negan. I said that already, right? Takara. Wherefore art thou, Takara? Yeah, I think we're good. So I think where we left off was, God damn, where did we leave off?
Lydia, probably.
Yeah. I wanted to move on to why do you think Lydia lies to Alpha about Hilltop? Like, I know the answer seems obvious, but I mean, does it all boil down to she's afraid what her mother would do to the Hilltop?
Are you talking about how she lies about not knowing about another place?
Yeah, like
she doesn't tell Alpha about Kingdom.
Right, like the trading, the armaments, the what life is like, basically.
Yeah, like you said, it's like it's an obvious answer that she cares about Henry, and that's where he's from. That's where his second mother and his second father live. I think deep down she just doesn't want more people to die because she knows they're good people, and they've stabilized in the zombie apocalypse for years now, and so
I think she just truly thinks her mom is the worst thing to ever happen. Like she thinks that she knows what she's capable of, or thinks she's capable of even worse. So,
and if she thinks all the people there are as weak as Henry, not that Henry's weak, but I mean he's a little emotional.
He's naive.
Yeah, exactly, naive.
So I'm thinking if she thinks that those people are like Henry, that they need to stay far away from her mother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I kind of see like Henry kind of like as naive as he is, one of the positives is that he's kind of like an interesting buffer between the new realities of Hilltop, like the new to her reality of Hilltop,
right,
and then also the kind of, is it a love interest? Is it this or is it that? And he kind of bridges the gap between Daryl and Hilltop and her. And I mean, these are both broken people,
right,
pre and post apocalypse. So,
and Henry seems to be very observant. Like he's spitting game to Daryl about I noticed the scars on your back, and I overheard my second mom talking about her hair, and he's observant and he watches.
That's a good point.
He's not stupid. I think he's just a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to something we said about transferring roles. Like, okay, like Rick is off the show and Carl is off the show, and
right,
it's just distributing these characteristics across different many characters. Like not only Daryl, but also like you see that in Henry a lot. Like this hope for the future, this looking past the ugliness of this world and knowing the different. We're like in recognizing that there is a difference between right and wrong, and sometimes we have to fight for that higher ideal. So, right, which is very much present in Carl. I think in the comic, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but actually, that's a good question. Rachel, do you read the comic as well?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a crisscross right now. So it's Ashley and me are not comics readers, and then Carol and Rachel are comics readers. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now we have to be careful. We have to be very careful.
Well, I started watching the show before I ever read the comics.
Right.
Same with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how most people got into it too, if I'm not mistaken. Except for some cool people will be like, "Oh, I just don't read the comic book before I watch the show." I'm like, okay, cool. You're awesome.
Is that how they talk?
Yeah, that's exactly
how they
every single person who reads the because they don't talk to people, so like I don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Agree with me.
I agree. Yes, I've agreed. I am agreed.
Yes, minions. What? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I have another question. So, what is with Alpha breaking her own rules? What is the damn deal?
About going back to little daughter.
Oh yeah,
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, there we go. Breaking the rules for her daughter a couple times. Not killing Henry right away. There's a bunch of things. Hey, Thorgon, by the way, Thorgon 9. But yeah. So Rachel, you seem to be animated.
Well, I mean, I have a little opinion about it, but I don't know. I almost think, maybe there is just a little bit of motherly instinct in there. Like she can't even help it almost. And then when she realizes it, she almost gets mad at herself for it. Like Lydia's like, is that really the only reason you came back? And she kind of hesitates for a second. Is like, that's a stupid question. Well, not really.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Really, like,
Lucy, you're going to have to explain yourself. Yeah.
what do you think Beta thinks of her breaking the rules? Do you think he's just... I mean, he's clearly big enough to take her down.
Yeah.
That's always the interesting thing in the comic, too, because Beta is so subservient to Alpha. But, I mean, in the comic, he's a massive dude, too, and she's even slighter than she is on the show. So...
Do they ever give, like, a backstory to Beta in the comics?
You kind of...
Like, how does he end up with her? Like, where does that happen?
That we don't see.
No, and even like Alpha's backstory on the show that they did with the whole flashbacks, like that's more than we ever got in the comic. Okay. So like,
what an interesting thing.
Yeah. So they gave us more backstory on the show than we ever even got in the comic books, and so we never know like how they got together, what happened, for these people to come together in the first place. Like we never get any insight to it. But I don't know. I don't know what Beta thinks yet. It'll be interesting this week since it looks like they're going to spend more time on him and like kind of like his character. So that'll be kind of interesting to see. Because I don't know. I don't know what he thinks of Alpha sort of like kind of showing a bit of vulnerability to him in a way. So so obviously there's some sort of safety there that she feels that she can confide in him. But there's still obviously like a certain kind of, hierarchy, because even when she kind of seems like, oh, she's being a little vulnerable, she's like, no, but I had to do this and to kind of like make sure that she knows never to do this or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what he thinks. I don't know if he's sort of like, I don't know.
I love how they put it on Talking Dead, by the way. Like that Beta is happy to be the Dwight Schrute to Alpha's
assistant to the assistant
Michael Scott, the assistant regional manager.
Assistant regional manager.
Perfect analogy.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Assistant to the assistant of the regional manager.
Oh God.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I have an interesting feeling that like it would be okay. This is kind of like the same way I feel about the possibility of a Negan backstory.
Oh, that I keep hoping for.
Which is never going to happen. But that's the thing. I think it's going to be in the same vein where you have people that are going to want to know what makes this guy so subservient, and then at the same time, it's just going to remain like an enigma. Maybe we'll get a taste of it in the present, like why that is the case. But the more this keeps going on, the more people are going to want it, and the less they're going to give it. So. Right. So it's like the same reason why Daryl will never have a love interest on the show. It's the same
ever.
thing.
You don't think so?
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I'm starting to feel. I mean, Carol, you said this. You said it, and I think it was you that said it, and I think that it kind of just like an earworm just got into my brain. I was like, you know what? You're probably right.
Well, what was it that I said?
I'm trying
to remember what I said.
That Daryl is not androgynous, asexual. That's right.
I mean, yeah, he kind of, it has been like, I mean, we've had so many characters that have had like some semblances of relationships and love interests, but we've never seen it. I mean, they've always kind of teased maybe there's something there, but nothing's ever happened.
Right.
I mean, Father Gabriel's had like multiple girlfriends, and like,
damn.
I mean,
even Rick's had multiple girlfriends.
Even Rick's had multiple girlfriends.
Man of the cloth. I'm thinking man of the latex. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of people have feelings about this. Miss Mazel saying that Beta has feelings for Alpha. Irony Creation says Daryl will never have a love interest because fangirls get super mad over ships. All the backlash off Carol and Ezekiel is ridiculous. And I 100% agree.
Yeah, no, it's a bit much.
I do not deprive people of their ships, but I do roll my eyes a lot, and my eyes get a lot of lubrication because of it. Thank you. Yeah. You know what? Let's do this. Like, what do you gals think about like the whole Carol? I wanted to talk about the Carol shippers, like the Daryl Carol shippers, because I don't spread hate, but I also kind of like there's some passion. There's some passion there.
I don't see it. I've never.
I don't see that. Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't know. Like maybe when he was looking for Sophia in season 2, I saw it maybe a little, but
that was when I saw it, right in the very, very, very beginning, right when we were learning these characters. I kind of saw it, but then I don't even remember when it was.
And then he's burning himself with a cigarette when Beth died, and sitting by that barn and crying, and that's when I really felt it with him and Beth. But I don't know if he was upset, that he wanted to be with Beth, but just that she was such a great light.
Right.
She's a good person, and she
yeah,
died.
Bethel is the closest we got to anything with Daryl.
Anything that was after Daryl. I mean, the whole funeral, and who owned that funeral, by the way, which was so clean, which we never find out. But anyway, I digress. But with the whole Carol and Daryl thing, I just don't see it.
I don't see it, and I think it kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it trivializes
over him,
and I feel like it trivializes the relationship too. I mean, the relationship is so much more complex and rich the way it is.
They just work like a well-oiled machine. Like he moves, she moves. Like it's just like it. I don't see it as a relationship. I see it as just like they're like perfect best friends. Like
good dance partners.
Yeah, like I don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, there was that definitive scene in the hospital, and I feel like I spoke to you, Carol, like even back then about this scene. Like, okay, we saw this scene where they finally get together and they have like a meeting of the minds, and I walked away from that. It was like in the corridor. I think there was a cigarette passed between them.
And then,
And after that scene, I was like,
at the women's shelter.
Was it the women's shelter? It was. I know it was like a wing of the hospital for sure, like or something like that. It was like around the Grady Hospital.
It was a place where her and Sophia stayed.
It was a women's shelter. Yeah.
Okay, and so I just remember walking away from that scene, being like, "This is a very sweet friendship. This is a very sweet and deep, connected friendship."
He killed that mom and daughter for her, and not like the zombies one, but we're in the women's shelter. Not like a real. You remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, I didn't get all of that. Did everybody hear all that?
Not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. It was mom and dad.
It was like the mom and daughter. They were at the women's shelter, and they had obviously turned.
Yes.
They killed them for her.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, that was tough. That was a very good episode, actually.
That was a good episode.
That was a good one.
That was a. And if any moment for them to get together like this,
that would have been it.
That would have been it.
That would have been
And it didn't happen. It wasn't a misfire. There were no sad faces. That was just a sweet moment.
And that's changed everything if they did get together, though.
That's true. Yeah. At that moment, for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, but that's the thing. Like, I mean, even if they did do that, even if they did have some sort of physical contact of that variety, I can easily see them walking it back and thinking nothing of it. Like it would just never it never just matures anywhere past that, and it kind of just goes back to what they have now. For all we know, they could have done something too. We just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's really thought of that, even the carolers, the
What are Daryl's thoughts on King Ezekiel? I know he said he's a little hokey.
I think he thinks he's a good dude. It's just
I think that's what he said.
And I know he knows Carol can take care of herself, and she's big enough to make her own decisions.
Well, yeah, and after what Henry said to her, like I know he was kind of going into Carol and the abuse, and then growing her hair out, and then feeling safe with Ezekiel. I think after it's just like the Grady Hospital. After a scene like that where Henry kind of lays it out, says, "Yo, this is serious." I feel like Henry wasn't talking to Daryl in that moment. I think he was talking to carolers. Mm-hmm.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everybody? Yeah?
Maybe.
Shut that shit down. Again, no hate. No hate.
No.
I don't begrudge you your fantasies.
Yeah, I don't think they should get together.
Yeah.
No.
All right, let's
I think
move on.
Daryl in any kind of relationship would make him a little soft.
I have a little test right now. I want to see how many people hopped off the stream after we said all that. Oh, God.
Can I open up a discussion about
something? A bunch of people jumped off the Instagram.
Go right ahead.
Yes, please.
Okay. I have this thing in my head thinking that why am I blanking on his name? Oh my gosh, RJ. I don't think he's real.
I've heard rumors about him.
I don't think that he's real. I think he was at one point, but he died.
Michonne only mentions him to Daryl, doesn't she?
Why is he so little? I mean, he looks like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. Like he
doesn't look like a 5-year-old.
6 years. You know, I mean, and in this last episode, she opens the door and he's sleeping. Why is he sleeping in the middle of the day? I mean, nap time, but like,
yeah.
I
5-year-olds nap? Mine didn't.
I know the nap. I know, but she's talking to herself. And she's almost acting like she did when she lost her first son, Andre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good point.
And they look kind of similar.
Nobody else has seen him.
Yeah.
Except, I mean, what's her name, Son?
Magna?
Magna did look in the window, and RJ was running towards her, but was he really running towards her?
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean Magna saw RJ. She just looked in the house
and saw her scoop something up, a sack of potatoes.
Maybe.
That's a tough call. I mean, it's a really interesting idea, but given that one scene,
I'm wondering if he was real. Yes, he was born and he was alive, but then that's what changed her. He died. Someone killed him, and he died, and now she's fucking crazy again. I don't know.
Because I'm trying to figure out the sequence.
Who takes care of him? Like, I know there's lots of people that take care of him.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But you don't see anybody else with him.
Yeah, no. I think if not for that one, if not for that one scene with Magna, I would have, because I feel like, wasn't Magna gonna argue with Michonne or something, and then she sees RJ, and then she decides to give up her weapons.
I think it was because she was like, well, she's bag shit crazy. She's talking to herself and picking up sacks of herself. Like, you know,
things must be hard for you because you're crazy.
You've already got a lot on your plate.
We better listen to what she says. She's, yeah. That's an interesting thought. I'd have heard the idea that of people complaining, or not complaining necessarily, but like saying RJ looks way too young. You know, I've heard that complaint.
He does look young. He's in like onesies, like.
Yeah, he was still wearing onesies.
I've heard something else.
I don't know.
I'm
fine with being wrong.
What have you heard?
I have heard
that it's Daryl's baby. Did you hear that?
No, more of the like that he's like developmentally.
I don't
challenged
think
or
so.
That's what that's what I heard, but like, and that's it. Yeah.
But why?
Which would be interesting if it was true, but yeah. Only reason because of the, like, 6 years and he's like still in a,
like I said,
right?
I'm okay being wrong.
Oh no, is there another lag?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. I got a 3-second lag now. Darn you, Spectrum. I'm gonna say this.
You are kind of frozen.
I've got to say something right now. Okay, I'm gonna turn my video off so that I'm using less upload bandwidth. Let me see if that helps. I have to say something now. Spectrum, you suck. You suck rubber ducks. You suck a big fuck. And I fucking hate you. I can't get anything done on this podcast with you. You can go to hell, you motherfucker. And I've got that off my chest. I think we're in sync now. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I mean, you have to chime in and let me know how big the lag is. 5, 6, 7, 8. No?
Hello?
Wow. Can you hear me at all? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
I can hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you.
That is a huge ass lag.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us?
I can hear you just fine, but you won't hear me in
Question.
2, 3,
Oh, no.
6, 7, 8.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an 8-second lag. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to have you gals talk, and I'm just gonna throw some things in the chat, I think, or I'll figure it out. But I'll try to chime in every now and again. So I'm going to give you a topic. You could talk about it. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to give you this topic. Judith points out that Michonne changed. When Michonne says people don't change, Negan changed for the better, while Michonne changed for somewhat of the worse. It brings me back to the intro season, or the intro post time jump, speaking to Rick. So I was thinking you guys could talk about that. How powerful that scene was.
Oh, between those two. Yeah. Judith didn't even realize she said anything wrong. It was just a matter of fact.
Yeah, she didn't realize that she touched a nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
that,
like, okay.
That kind of shocked me.
Yeah, she was just very clear about it. It's like, well, you changed.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, and it goes back to like what happened to cause her to change. There was something happened, and we're still waiting for that. But but after she hears that, she changes again. She says, "I'm not okay with this fair, but we're, if it goes to a vote, we'll do it."
Right.
So,
whatever happened must have been really bad, because she is on like extra high alert. I mean, vetoing everything, and nobody can leave. Lock the doors.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and even the fact that she's okay with having the kingdom fall, but as long as Alexandria.
Right. That's really kind of like shocking to me. It's like, so if the kingdom falls, if they starve, it's like whatever, like as long as Alexandria is safe.
Right. As long as Alexandria is safe. And it's like almost I can hear the bad Rick in her talking.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like the bad Rick.
Yeah.
My family's the only one that's
exactly. God, I know. It's like I'm really looking forward to finding out like what in the world happened,
Oh, I know.
I feel like one episode isn't going to be enough to tell us everything.
Yeah. I know. There's so much. I feel like there's just so much we're lost on, and I'm excited. Do you guys think that Jesus will have more scenes this season?
I hope so. I didn't even think about flashbacks.
I know. That kind of took me by surprise. What was it, last week?
When he died, I was like, yes, he's going to, there's so much that we don't know. He's going to be in more flashbacks. He's not gone just yet.
Yeah.
So
I think we'll at least see him one more time in 914 Scars,
Yeah,
Agreed.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. Because there's, I mean, and
I think so.
And what about Maggie? Like, where do you guys think she is? Like,
I think that
we know who she's with, but
I think Georgie's from the Commonwealth.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I know a little bit about it, but I don't.
Okay, sorry. I like tried to stop as it was coming.
You think that is the same place that the helicopter came from?
I think so.
I do.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I have a theory that I think that, I mean, we're building up to this fair. So I think that the fair will be the end of will be the season finale. But I still have this thought that ham radio that like Father Gabriel sent Eugene and Rosita to set up the relays. And I feel like they will also end with like making contact, and maybe it'll be with Maggie or with Rick. But
I think it's going to be with Rick.
I think it's going to be with Rick.
I think we're going to hear Rick's voice come over that radio in the last episode.
Yep. That's what I think.
I don't think I could go months without not knowing.
They might do that to us
purposely. Exactly. I think that they'll do that purposely because, like, okay, now you have to wait 6 months.
Yeah, you gotta wait 6 months. Like, Rick is my man. Like,
I'm like convinced, especially because like he keeps getting brought up. It's like, oh, the great Rick Grimes and everything. I'm like, so we're still talking about him. So it's like he's still like we're bringing it up. We're making sure that people don't forget.
And the fact is that beautiful scene between Michonne and Daryl, where they're bringing Jesus back, and
right.
Michonne says, it's a great thing that you're doing for the Hilltop, bringing his body back, and she's, I'm sorry, I couldn't have done that for you. And it's like, oh. Yeah,
no, exactly. It's like
that was a gut punch.
That was a gut punch. Exactly. So it's like, to me, I was like, and because it's like, okay, you went and set up these satellites to try and make, like get farther, like reception and everything. We're going to have to make contact. I'm like, this has to happen. And it'll happen like at the very end.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
That would be awesome. That would be a great, but also like, oh, now I got to wait.
It's the worst thing, wait, but
yeah,
they'll do something to torture us. Something. So
I mean, I don't
count on it.
I don't think it'll be on the level of, what was it, like the season 6 finale when Deacon showed up, and it was like people like doing diagrams based on like the angles. It's like, what happened? Like, oh my God.
That was me.
No, 6 months of like trying to figure this out.
Torture.
Yeah.
That was torture.
That was tough.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys, being comic readers, knew it was Glenn. You're like, it has to be Glenn. Like, that propels Maggie. Oh, propels so much, like.
Yeah.
Knew.
I convinced myself it was going to be just Abraham. I knew what was coming, but
right. That's the thing. It's like you knew from the comics what was coming, but you didn't know the Abraham.
They change it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and at that point, I knew that Denise had actually died the way Abraham was supposed to.
Right.
And so in my mind, I'm psyching myself up. I'm going, that's why he's still alive. They're gonna keep Glenn and they're gonna kill him. I was wrong. So wrong.
Do you guys watch Ride by any chance?
No.
Yes.
No.
I watch it like once.
But I don't watch it.
I know.
You know what it is? It's like if you ever watched Anthony Bourdain, I feel like it's kind of like in that same vein, except on bikes. And like there's some food, but like not, like that. But it's crazy because like I haven't watched the first 2 seasons, but this time around we've kind of been like, all right, we'll watch it here and there. And so there was an episode with Steve Yeun, with Glenn. And it was like a punch in the stomach. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much I miss Glenn.
I probably would have cried the whole time.
What killed me about Glenn's death was that episode at the satellite station where him and Keith are talking about how they've never killed him. And then they end up killing someone. And it's like,
that was heavy.
It was like,
Well, that episode, I clearly remember even when Rick did like the first kill at that satellite station. I think it was with Michonne and Daryl, and they both kind of like looked at each other and gave him a look like, we're venturing into some really dicey territory here, because it's like we're killing people in their sleep, based on the idea that they will likely attack us.
I mean, they did have Polaroids of people's heads bashed in on the walls.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that scene. I remember my husband was out of town, and I was sitting watching that, and I was just like, I had to pause it because it was so heart pounding. Like it was like,
yeah,
I'm like, I cannot handle this stress.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was intense.
it was intense.
Ugh.
It was a good episode. It was intense.
No,
I
that
am
was
very
definitely
excited to see Morgan again. I miss him very much, and I get excited to see him in Fear.
well,
Do you
he's
think
an
we'll
awesome
see
guy.
Sherry on Fear?
What'd you say?
Do you think we'll see Sherry on Fear?
I do. I really do. I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think Dwight has caught up with her. I think he found her. I don't think he would go to Texas without Sherry.
Yeah,
I really don't think so. I mean, he goes back to that house, and there's another note. So he's like, well, she's alive, so I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to wait for her, and then we're going to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yep.
We're going to find somewhere else.
Yep. I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
I hope so, too. Yeah, because she did have that show, and now the arrangement, and now I know.
yeah.
Oh,
they canceled it?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so she doesn't have that show anymore. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I do remember she was on that show. I was like, oh, okay.
But I just haven't heard anything about her being cast in Fear. So
No.
I don't know if they'll keep that a secret.
You might, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll probably want to hide it from everybody.
Yeah, and she'd be a little easier one to hide than Austin Emilio anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a lot more.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. I think definitely, like, if you have Dwight, you'll have Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
What about Heath? You think that he'll turn up?
I think Heath will show up in the movies. Because if he's with Rick in that group, because we clearly, you know, Judith or / Ann had his RV, she obviously traded in. So I think he's going to be in the movies with Rick. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think Heath was an A or a B?
I don't know. What do you think that means?
Definitely.
No.
Either B means like injured or healthy, or do you think it means like a fighter or a? Yeah, I hear you.
What makes you think? Because didn't Rick's letter change when she called it in at the last minute? Wasn't he an A and then?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
then
the
she's
injury,
like,
I think
B.
the injury might
I feel like a
be.
really cute dog in the background.
What?
I see a really cute dog in the background watching.
Oh, that's my pit bull, Maddie.
Sorry. Anyway, yes, I don't know, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
We will. Yeah, they can't leave that. They can't leave us hanging on that. That's way too much.
No.
What do you guys think about Aaron? What's going on with him right now? I mean, he's got Gracie. He looks like the comic book Rick. Like you guys.
I know.
You guys being comic book readers, what are your thoughts on Aaron right now with the arm and the beard and?
You know what? I definitely feel like they're grooming him to be like more prevalent and
more of a leader.
And I think especially after this season, I think that he probably will kind of like stand out more. I think he's going to be around for a little while. Okay. I feel like part of me feels that he might, like in my mind, I feel like he might be the one to ultimately take down Beta, like not even Daryl. Like, I don't know, like there's a part of me that feels like he'll be the one to seek justice for Jesus, #justice for Jesus. Like, I feel like.
I completely agree with you.
I could see that. I could see that. Totally see it.
What was the point of bringing up these meetings with Jesus?
Right.
Not going to come back into play.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like his star is going to shine a little bit more, I think.
He's a phenomenal actor.
He is. He's awesome.
He is awesome. I have met him so many times, and he's an awesome person.
Really?
Yeah.
He's like it. He has such a sense of humor too.
He does have a good sense of humor. Yeah, because I have this I don't know if I so much have it anymore about the first episode of season 7 when Rick is laying on top of the RV and Negan is in the RV and he's saying, but this isn't, we can't just all sit down and have dinner together and Rick has that flash of them all sitting down at dinner and it's this crazy scene where like half the table has food, half the table doesn't, half the table has like greens, and other table half is like twigs, and Morgan's like putting out a flame with his finger, and like I have this theory that the people sitting on the green food side are the people that live, and the people that are on the other side are going to die. And most of them, because it's been Abraham, Sasha, Spencer, like all those people are sitting on the twig side. So I had like explained it to him. He's like, "Whoa, where am I sitting?"
Like, all I want to know is where am I at that table?
Yeah, he's like, "Where am I at the table?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, Carl's not even at the table. He's not even in the sitting. He has no spot." And I said, "You're right in the middle." And he's like,
"Mom."
Okay. He's like, "I can deal with that."
Okay.
So yeah, that's funny. I don't know how much I can spin off of that now, since it's been so many seasons and we've jumped so far ahead. So yeah.
What do you think about this whole Rosita like love triangle, sort of like
love square?
Love square. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wait, holy crap.
I don't think we're gonna have to worry about it much longer.
Wait,
I know, exactly. Exactly.
Wait, you guys can hear me live right now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Holy shit, I'm back.
Yeah. Okay. I just can't see you.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's probably for the best for the stream. I sacrifice my face. By the way, it's International Women's Day, so why not?
You know what? And with the Rosita thing, like, get it, girl. Like, it's the end of the world. Like,
yeah. I mean, she said that one time though too. I think when her and Sasha went on that suicide mission, she was like, "Look, it's the end of the world." So, I mean,
yep.
Hey.
And it's see that she's in love with Gabriel. So
yeah,
she found love again, and I'm happy for her. I'm nervous for her.
Yeah, I get nervous whenever I see any joy on this show. Without reading the comic book, you're like, oh gosh, I don't know if you should be getting all comfortable here.
I know. I remember being on when I was on the Talking Dead. She wrote Kristen Stratos was on, and I remember Chris Hardwick had asked her about what do you feel about her comic death? And I remember thinking, la 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 la. And she said, it was an epic death, and I would love to have that death. So I remember her specifically saying that, and I just remember thinking, I don't want to know, but that sucks.
Yeah. Actually, and Carol, you said something similar about like just those two words, epic death, Rosita, and less Rosita than I think it was Father Gabriel. You said
no,
or was it Eugene?
There were other people.
For what? From the comic, I think you said Eugene had just an epic. Or no, I think you said Father Gabriel had like an epic death.
Father Gabriel does
like those
have
specific
an epic
words.
Death in the comic. Yes, he does. I think for sure that death will happen. I don't know if it'll be to him or if they'll choose somebody else to to basically experience it. But I think that death will happen.
Do you think it's gonna happen this season or?
No, I think it'll be next season. I think it'll be next season because I think that they're just going to get to the tip of the iceberg with this whisper thing. I think it'll come to a head at the end of the season. And then the next season will be defeating the whisperer threat. And the death that happens to Gabriel in the comics happens during this whole whisper conflict thing. And I feel like they keep kind of if you read the comic, there are images and scenes where it kind of makes you feel like, oh, they're insinuating this thing that happened. And so I think that they'll definitely do it. Maybe not, but it might not be to him. It might be somebody else that'll, get that fate. But I don't know.
I'm totally drawing a blank on Father Gabriel's death in the comics.
Okay, it would really.
I'm gonna have to go back and reread it. Wasn't that Morgan?
Water Tower.
I thought that was Morgan.
No, it was Father Gabriel.
Okay.
No more.
Wait, Ashley, what are you trying to say?
I saw a picture.
Yeah, I did too.
And he's hanging, and zombies are eating him, and I'm like,
the same exact one I saw.
I'm like, God damn it! I hate spoilers.
Yeah, me too.
They might not do it though. I mean,
I don't think they are though.
But I don't know.
You're not gonna do it?
Don't count.
I think Honestly, I mean, I haven't read it either. I saw the exact panel you saw, Ashley, and I am having this really interesting and bad feeling that they're going to do this to Eugene.
I know.
Oh,
yeah.
We both had the same reaction. We're like, no.
They're gonna swap
I really like Eugene.
I do like Eugene, actually.
But like, so think about how they're staging things.
Yes.
Now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the perfect opportunity to feel, and this is for the audience. It's not really for everybody, as much people on the show. It's going to be for us. Because think about this progression. He goes out with a bang on season 8, being the hero. He's being his magnanimity right now with Rosita and the whole thing.
He's putting himself aside. He's not being selfish Eugene. He's like, I'm in love with her, but I know she's in love with you. And here, I'm going to give you these maternity pants for you. Don't, like they're from, like he's being weird Eugene, but he's being selfless. And that's a step for him.
Yeah. Stop wasting time. And love. Yeah.
And I love that he brought up in that scene about, because you almost kind of forget like what happened that season is how Gabriel got sick and he was in the infirmary at the sanctuary, and they had this big talk about like, dude, why are you here? Like, you kind of like forgot about that once they had that little talk, and I was like, yes, I love that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You can't see me, but I'm like I'm feeling the same things you guys are. It just feels like I think that's what makes the decapitation scene so palpable, because sorry, right, I know, I'm bringing it back to the forest again. Because in the last episode we talked about how we haven't seen any crazy deaths. We thought that was going to happen, but then it didn't. And then it's kind of like I said, we plateau and then fall back down. We plateau a little higher and fall back down. We haven't seen any beloved character deaths, but it feels like we're getting closer and closer. And then the things that we're talking about people like being happy and Enid reuniting with Alden and Eugene, having his moment. And then, and now we see a death, like a really gruesome death. Okay. And we're like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. It's like the reality check right now. And now it's kind of like, we're going to make people happier on this side. And then we're going to kill people on that side. And at some point, it's just going to be this crazy crescendo. And we're going to be mentally sort of like, kind of like subliminally prepared for this to happen right now.
Right.
And that's kind of how I'm surveying this right now.
Yeah. You think we're going to get our answers about like what happened in the past this season, or is that going to get pushed to next season?
That's a great question.
I think it's going to happen this season.
Okay.
I think we're at least going to get some answers. Just because, I mean, if I think about the trailer that they showed for like this second half of the season, there was that scene that was like Michonne slicing through something, and it was her old hairstyle. So it definitely was some sort of flashback to some time, in the past. So I guess we are going to get, So we're going to have to like find out.
Not by choice either.
I wanted to actually talk about that.
Oh, maybe not.
Yeah. See, I'm guessing that got cut off.
I wonder if it's not by choice too. I agree.
Yeah.
Is it on the same side as?
That's a very good point.
So I was going to bring that up on this episode because we from the time jump, her hairstyle was different. We're all looking at it. We're like thinking, okay, time for a change. Fine, 6 years changes a lot of people, including fashion and hairstyle, right? But then I started thinking about a couple of things, right? I thought about how Carl's right eye was shot out. I was thinking of how her hair is covering her left eye and she's seeing out of her right eye. And yeah, it could be a scar of some kind. It could be something along those lines. But I was just thinking of like the symbolism of that, like the idea of like having only one type of eye open, like Odin's eye, by the way. Odin in Norse mythology, he gives up his right eye for wisdom, right? And so I feel like she is not using she's using only wisdom and she's not using heart in terms of seeing things, like the way she's seeing things. But when you brought up the idea of her hairstyle being kind of like not a choice, that started to get my wheel spinning even further. Like there is something deliberate about the way she's making herself up these days, and it's coloring all of her perceptions of how to treat the world. And now we're finally starting to see her roll back that some. What do you think that, am I on the right track? Do you guys have any other thoughts on this? Because it's funny that you said that right when I actually wrote it down in my notes, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, we're like 5 episodes deep, and now we're finally starting to think about that.
When I first saw her new hairstyle, that was kind of the first thing I thought was, you know, I mean, maybe it got caught in something and she had to cut him off. But then, you know, I started thinking about the show we're actually watching, and it can't be something simple like that. So I assume someone, you know, cut it off.
Yeah.
Maybe related to what happened in the past.
Right.
You're saying on that side of the head, like where it's like cut off. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking like she has a scar on the other side that she's covering up.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that too.
Maybe.
Like when I was thinking about what you were saying, I was like, oh wait, maybe she's covering something up. Yeah,
I was thinking somebody cut that side of her hair off.
No,
well,
I mean, that was a choice.
Hair is very important to women, and I mean, it takes a lot of maintenance. She works hard on those dreads, and for somebody to cut them off would be devastating.
That's interesting.
It was Negan that had originally cut them off a little bit when he took her, and then he put them on those zombies when that zombie chain.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He had put them, and then we saw them. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that. I like where that's going. I like where that's headed.
Mm-hmm.
Gets my head turning a little bit.
Yeah.
Nashville Negan says, does anyone think that Michonne could let Negan free and he would infiltrate the Whisperers camp, quote unquote, get recruited to help out? I'm just theorizing possibilities. And of course he has an interest because he's Nashville Negan.
I truly think that Negan, I think he saw what has happened. But then I also think, like, does he want to take over again? Rick is gone. Like, I don't know.
Like, does he still have the bug, basically?
Yes, like, he's such a cocky fella.
You could see him, like, rolling it back as he's trying to desperately plead to Michonne. Like, even in his cool, calm, and charming way, he's still kind of like, he's like, okay, I gotta roll it back. I'm former leader. Yeah. And like he that's the most terrified you will see Negan, basically. I mean, aside from Maggie scene.
70-30 on that. Like, I'm 30% he will be a good person and help out, and then I'm like 70% he wants to take over, like, and become another sanctuary.
I think 70% of me thinks he's good, and then a smaller chance that I might be wrong. But I don't know. I want to believe he's changed.
I want to think that you know, he saw the sanctuary, and then he was like, well, maybe if I go back to Alexandria, I can pretend, and then I can take over. Like, that's what I think in my head. Like, I can't trust him. But I want to trust him, but I don't want to. I don't know. But I really think his relationship with Judith is real. I don't think that's
I have a relationship with Judith.
I agree.
Yeah. Same. I think we're on.
See, I think that's why I'm convinced he's changed a little bit. I think being friends with Judith has softened him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think being away and in Alexandria has also kind of, I don't think he realized it until he went to the sanctuary. I'll say like 100%. But coming back, which makes me also think, coming back makes him think that, you know, there's nothing to do about it. I'm not going to make a life out here. I do think there is part of me that thinks, and maybe this is just like a cocky thought rather than a possibility for him, like along the lines of what you were saying, Ashley, is that like, oh, maybe in the back of his mind, he's like, I'd like to take over Alexandria, but I don't think that's possible. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I when I think of Negan and I think of his possibilities, I think of it like a sliding scale. It's like a minute by minute thing. Like, oh, you know, I'll say like what 50% of the day I'm thinking to myself, it's pretty good to be here. And at night when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'm like, well, you know, how could I actually take over? You know, like those moments at night where like, but there's got to be something more.
Well, and the fact that
Yeah.
when he went to that like shop, a store, and he went and he saw that that guy had put up mannequins and he was essentially talking to mannequins, and then he shot himself. You know, I think that was like him looking at himself, like, you know, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, in the store, yeah.
In the store.
In the store.
He didn't have any of his own people left.
He didn't have any of his own people left. And
Yeah.
then there's the sanctuary, and then there's that Big Rich, or
Big Richie.
Big Richie.
Yeah.
Loyal to the end.
Loyal to the end, and then he realizes, like, this is dumb. You know, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'll be in charge of mannequins and nothing else.
Yeah, like, I'm so confused.
Right.
I'm very
He even builds himself a little like gathering area, and it's just him.
Yeah.
So sad, just sitting
Yeah,
there.
it's very
leather
sad.
jacket again, and he's got like a pipe, and it's like, I just don't know. Where do you guys think Lucille is? Where is he? Where is she?
Oh gosh.
She,
I
don't
think
know.
Michonne has.
I think Michonne knows where she is, but I don't know.
Michonne.
I don't know where she is.
I don't know. I think Michonne definitely knows for sure where Lucille is. I don't know. In my mind, I feel like she has Lucille. And I feel like maybe this whisper threat becomes like more real, and they realize like, okay, I need this guy on my side. And it's like, all right, I'm going to let you go. Here's Lucille. I need you out there to help. You know.
Hold up, actually. I'm thinking, do you think that maybe Negan went inside the house? Like, I know they had that conversation, but do you think he might have partially gone to that house, to the Grimes house, to find Lucille?
But why the shovel?
I think that was like
You know, why
Casey got caught.
was looking for that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on that episode breakdown. And you know what? I had like 3 days to think about it. I still couldn't think of it. I mean, the only thing I could think about was possibly to bury the bodies of sanctuary people just in case. But yeah, I also had that question. Why a shovel of all things? Like, instead of rather than any other farming implements, why a shovel, you know, of all things? But like, do you guys think that he thought maybe Lucille was in the house somewhere?
Oh, for sure. I think,
Yeah.
I feel like Michonne has kept Lucille, quote unquote, alive because to pretty much mess with Negan. Like,
yeah,
you know, she's still alive because he treated that bat like it was a person. So,
Yeah.
But why wouldn't Michonne keep it around instead of burning it to the ground? Like, she could just say, "Oh, I got it in this glass case in the house. Oh, I bet you want to see it."
Just torture to mess with them. I don't know.
Yeah, because she could just say that and it'd be gone. You know, like, why would she keep it around? What utility to her would it be? Like, I don't think she's been showing him it. Although that would be a really.
I don't think she's done that.
Right. I don't think she's done that at all. In fact, if she did do that, it would give him hope.
Wasn't there like a small exchange when his throat was slashed and they were all in that room, and like they say something like, he's like, "Where's Lucille?" and they say something about Lucille. I just can't remember this exact dialogue. Was there a small exchange? Or am I making that up?
I know that when he was in the cell asking for Lucille, I think she said like we buried it somewhere.
Where you left her.
Yeah, something like that.
I think she
She said like they left her
Right
out
where
there
you-
somewhere.
Yeah, it's
Because
exactly what she
remember
said.
when Michonne was doing. Well, because remember when Michonne was doing those night kind of like escapades where she was leaving Rick behind and she was going out like fighting zombies like while everybody was sleeping, and Lucille was there, like it was like by the tree, and like she like saw it and like picked it up or whatever and like was repulsed and like dropped it and like.
I think that was just a regular bat.
I think that
Was it just a regular bat?
Yeah, we went
it
over
did-
this.
It
Yeah,
didn't have barbed wire on it.
Oh, it did.
I think it reminded her of
It
Lucille.
reminded her of Lucille.
Yeah.
yeah, and because of that book with the baseball game and everything, that there were
that-
repeating
yeah.
themes. You know.
Yes, it kept coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, and reminding, and this is like another example. This episode was just another example of how just Negan is like a full-length mirror for her to look at herself at. And because when you think about it, she was employing the same kind of tactics, similar tactics.
Yeah.
In the name of security, in the name of saving people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why he said it's like, wow, what a racket.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is a huge wake, and it didn't even occur to her until Judith said something, which kind of goes back to the question when I was lagging. So like just the fact that that Judith was the one to wake her up, you know, to bring her back online. Like, dude, you have a charter, you changed. You know what happened?
Is it weird that Michonne wasn't aware she changed? I mean, it seems like
no,
a
not
pretty
at all.
drastic change.
Yeah.
Well, I think
she wasn't aware of that.
In light of her scars, I think also something had happened. Like, it could be RJ, it could be, which is an interesting theory. But yeah, it could be in light of her scars. It could be in light of the dark pact between her and Daryl about something that they had to do in order to keep people safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that again, Ashley.
Did Michonne know that the charter's gone?
I don't think so, but I think they. You know what? That's what confused me a little bit in this episode, because they said this is the. They were mentioning how this is the charter we asked for, we signed up for.
Right.
So I don't know if, I mean, it doesn't look like Alexandria signed it, but it does look like Alexandria is well aware of it in order to create the council, so they know about it. Which also kind of brings to mind, like, okay, the conversation with Aaron, right?
Right.
Now, just to get it out of the way, because we can have thoughts about this, but like when Aaron's talking to her about it, he's genuinely terrified. Like when she brings up the idea that, like, that's why I came to you first, because you were respecting my decisions, blah, blah, but I wanted to let you know first that, you know, we're going to send a contingent over to the kingdom. You know, anybody who wants to go can go. And Aaron is kind of like fighting back a whole lot of fear in his face. He's like, you were right the first time. Like, as balanced as he's trying to be, I noted the fact that Aaron had said in more than one episode, maybe it would have happened anyway. He says this to Yumiko, and he says it again in the beginning of the episode, or sort of, in the council chambers. He's like, maybe it would have happened anyway. And he's trying to be fair and balanced and like big picture, right? Like, it could have happened to anybody at any time. You know, same example with Carl. You know, we could be magnanimous, we could save people, we could be experts in the field, but at the end of the day, like, a walker bite could end you. You know, maybe it would have happened anyway.
Right.
And so I always admire that about the way they're constructing and deliberately constructing the Aaron character, because he's like, it's kind of like what people are saying, that he is sounding like a lot like a Rick.
Right.
Like, keeping things in perspective, you know, but looking out for the good, big picture, you know. And so you go back to this conversation, and it's like, you know, post Judith, she's like, I don't want to, like, it's like, I don't want to rule by fear. You know, we have a charter. Negan reminded me that we, like, she didn't say that, but Negan reminds me that we have a charter. You know, and it kind of reminded me of that article, that one line in the article that we read last week. It is self-evident to us that no one has a monopoly on truth or justice. We have seen what happens to those who think that way. We've seen what they do to others. Everyone has the right to leave and risk life on the road. So, I mean, yeah. You wrote those words, girl.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What does it mean to you that Negan is reading the same books that Michonne used to write that charter?
Wait. Did you catch the title of that book?
I believe I saw that was the same book that Michonne was using to write the charter. I saw that somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
What a racket.
Yeah. So I didn't know, you know, is he using that to take over?
Oh, maybe.
Using it to gain knowledge or
But that's interesting. Maybe he does it to kind of, like, figure out what kind of mind he's dealing with. Or maybe he genuinely is trying to be a sounding board for the ideals that she forgot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, this kind of brings to mind, and this is going to tie out two different concepts. One is the name of the episode is called Guardians, okay? Right. And in the episode, now that implies a lot of things. That implies guardians as parents, and I'll get to the literal definition in a second, Carol, because I see you. But yeah, it implies guardians like Carol and Michonne and Alpha. It also implies like leadership, and you see that theme revolving a lot about leadership and challenging leadership and leadership slipping through your fingers. It's a recurring theme. So we've kind of covered that ground, right? There's a third thing, and it's a literal thing. It's one of the lookouts right before Daryl comes in the picture at the end of the episode.
Gotta go Guardians.
Yes, she yells out Guardians. So
Who yells it out?
One of the
whispers yells out right before the walkers start attacking the walkers that Daryl led to the camp. Guardians.
Yeah.
So, and then it suddenly occurs to you that they call walkers Guardians.
It's very interesting. Yeah.
No, that really sucks.
Yeah.
Because I have to listen to it so quiet because my kids are sleeping like in the next room, and I miss shit like that.
Oh, I missed it the first time too. I did too.
I did too.
I
heard it the second time.
I watched it twice and I did not hear it. Okay, so they
Headphones.
say they call Guardians.
Yeah, they yell out like Guardians.
Plug it into my TV.
And by the way, so I don't know who mentioned that somebody was mentioning I don't know who
watched it with captions.
Yeah, I watched it with the captions too, and that's the only reason why I caught it. I rewound.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, just for note taking. I don't watch when I enjoy it Sunday night. I don't watch it with captions, but the point
I just
being
can't hear anything, so I have to read.
Yeah, so
My
I
kids are like right there, so I'm like, wow.
well, you can watch it the second time, I guess. Yeah, the second time is more like a pet project. It's like literal homework.
Right.
But it brings the point, and I don't remember if we said this on the show, but somebody I was talking to, I don't know who it was mentioning Beta and almost the religious aspect of how he regards Alpha's philosophy, the religious way and literally, I don't know when this was, he was like kneeling down and explained to another whisper about like Guardians or something like that. And I don't remember in what context, but I was remembering he was like regarding the Guardians as almost like the Walkers as almost like religious deity figures or something like that. You know what I mean?
Did you watch the first few minutes of the next episode?
That was you then. Yeah, it was you that I was talking to.
Yeah.
Yep. And so
that's going to be the first few minutes of the next episode. It was Nis and I were talking about that for a while too. We had this whole like scene mapped out, and if it happens, it's going to be totally epic. It would be really, really cool, but I don't know if I should. Maybe I shouldn't ruin it.
Shane is about to die behind you.
Oh, Shane is right behind you. That's funny.
Oh,
yeah. I've been noticing that too.
Oh, sorry.
It's just background in my house.
Like it's season 2.
Yeah.
Oh, here it comes.
He's gonna die.
Oh, Coral, don't shoot him. Yeah. I don't think I caught the first few minutes though. But I remember talking to you about it, and like I remember like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like this idea that Beta is, he's treating the quote unquote Guardians as like almost religious like deities, figures. Yeah, and which kind of explains a little bit why he treats Alpha the way he does. It's almost as if, yeah, there's like she is the Messiah for them or something, right. the Wayfarer, like the Moses of their group. I just love that aspect, which kind of also brings me to, hold on a sec. It's I forget where I was going with this too. Actually, the small thing that we mentioned in the beginning with the yo-yo string, because I was like, okay, she snaps off this yo-yo string and then we don't see it again, and then like I make note of that. Oh no! Oh, Carol.
No.
Okay, there you go. Well, we rearranged the windows now. Now you're below me, Carol. Were you below me?
Oh, okay. Sorry, my internet got spotty for a second.
That's okay. You're looking good now. It brings to mind the yo-yo thing, and one of the things I was thinking of as I was watching this episode until I saw this moment was, why did she snap off the yo-yo string? Would Lydia kill Henry? And then it wasn't until I saw the scene. Now, it was the one scene where Henry's tied against the tree. Lydia comes over. She's picking something up. And the necklace comes out. The necklace is the yo-yo string with the Hilltop coin. Henry sees this, and he notices that and smiles. Exactly. She tucks it back in, as one does when they don't want to get killed. And that's very telling, because it really informs you where she lies on the loyalty spectrum. Like, she really hates her mother. She really hates what she did to her. She really hated her for convincing not only her, probably, but like everybody else of like what the world is like, what the world is not coming back to.
Right.
You know, and that was very telling for me. And I'm banging on my table for some reason. It's such a vindicating thought. Like, how sweet. Like, she's taking this, what Henry says is a valueless coin, and putting tremendous value on it.
Yeah.
You know, as a symbol.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did risk his life to come out there. The least she could do.
Wait, say that again?
I said he did risk his life to come out there, so that's like the least he could do.
Hey, she didn't have to do shit. Yeah. I mean, think about like her position. Like, she really did not have to do any of this stuff. Like, she could just move on and not really, like, she's lived her whole life with her mother. She must be like in her teens. And maybe that's all the reason why to rebel. But at the same time, it's kind of like, how is one visit convince her? But like, at the same time, she's got this reckoning. She's got this moment where she's figuring out what really went on. Like, it's probably this thing the one thing that she's been telling herself all this time, but she just stuffs it down. She gets abused. I mean, that scene that she tells Beta about with the closet and the
Right.
plastic bags, that scene is Lydia's waking life every single day, with all the scars on her arms and stuff like that. So she's like, she's literally getting the shit beat out of her to like stuff down the idea that life could be better.
Right.
So for her to commit to this new idea is pretty bold, you know, for her. It's very informing. Let's put it that way.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's time. And like, nobody can see my face right now, but it's time to talk about how I'm right on International Women's Day. The Highwaymen.
The highway, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I felt like I was starting to give up hope on this theory once we started talking about like different things. The idea that like, yeah, it must be them. Like, once we started talking about the future of the show, like the immediate future of the show, I was kind of like, oh my God, are they going to bring these guys up, or is this going to be an idea? I mean, I thought I saw something in the sneak peek into 9B, and it turns out the beginning of the episode, like one of the sneak peeks, they are explicitly talking about these highwaymen, these riders that I kept mentioning.
Taxes and stuff?
Yeah, the toll that they would need to pay on the road. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really starting to get me to think now, at least I know I'm right about this other group that's coming in that will be an additional factor to like an outside story on top of the Whispers, possibly, you know? And I think and my theory is that so there's two things going on. Carol alludes to the fact that, or it was not only Carol, it was Diane and Carol. Diane says that now that Jeb's people are gone, or at least the implication is that now that Jeb's people are gone, they were the only people holding back the Highwaymen from taking over that territory, the road to the kingdom, or out of the kingdom. And so there's a lot of things going on. There's what Carol knows in the background about her taking care of those Savior Marauders, Jeb and Regina and all them, that she has not shared with the class. And Jerry's starting to feel bad about himself for saying the fair out loud. But then Ezekiel says something very important, kind of what Aaron says, and it's like they would have found out anyway.
Right.
Now, this is pretty big because only Carol knows the truth. Carol knows that she's the one who paved the way for the Highwaymen to take over. So there's going to be a reckoning somewhere there.
Okay.
You know? And the second thing is, do you think, and this is probably more of a question for everybody, do you think these Highwaymen have any connection to what possibly happened in the past with Daryl and Michonne?
Wouldn't you think they would have gotten rid of them, though? No.
Maybe. But maybe that's the impetus. Because
Right.
I don't think they bugged the kingdom. They did bug the Hilltop because they know about them. Because they know about the riders.
I didn't really get the impression that whatever happened in the past was gotten rid of so much as came to a compromise. Like, I feel like this big threat came and Daryl and Michonne made, some sort of side deal with them so that they would go away. I don't necessarily think that whatever that threat was killed off. So it could be.
They paid the toll, and I wonder what the toll was.
I have a theory on that.
Well, do it.
I think the dark secret that Daryl and Michonne share is part of this compromise. They said, you know, leave our community alone, leave these communities alone, but we'll tell you where Oceanside is.
Oh, snap.
That's what I think too.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm dumbfounded. That
would be a really dark secret to share.
It would be really handy too to tie everything up in a bow.
Yeah.
Here is Oceanside, you know, they're non-existent.
Yeah, they're
we
not.
haven't seen them.
Yeah, you're a bunch of guys. Here's a group of women that have been tortured in the past. Oh
now,
God.
Ezekiel mentions Oceanside when they're talking about the elk being able to feed all the communities for a week. But I mean, it's a dark secret. So obviously, if that's what happened, nobody would know.
Right.
And you know what?
Maggie knew too, and that's what sent her away.
Yeah.
And that's why there was so much animosity.
Yep.
Something that Michonne did. A convenient thing that they could have done too, by the way, to kind of get Lauren Cohan out of the picture. Like, not only, so we're going to take advantage of this opportunity for her not to be on set, to kind of roll out, like, she's just part of that puzzle that's involved in this dark secret, perhaps with the Highwaymen, but who knows? But it definitely, Hilltop definitely, and I'm like 90% sure the Hilltop knows about these people, you know, because of the nature of how afraid they were in that one episode prior to the mid-season break. Sorry?
When Michonne was coming with, like,
that exactly, yeah. The riders are coming, and everybody's just
they
screaming.
shouted it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically where I first got my theory. When I got the first, I had this feeling when we saw the 9B. I mentioned Angus Sampson. It was like episode 38, and like as soon as I saw the way Hilltop freaked out about these riders, that's when I knew. I'm like, it's definitely tied to them. And now we're starting to see more unfold, and I'm like thinking, okay, they bothered the Hilltop and they did something really crazy. We have no evidence of them bothering Alexandria, right? But we do have evidence of Hilltop, and now we have more evidence now that now they're starting to bother the kingdom. So whoever these guys are, they're roaming around, or they're in operation again. Where, oh man, maybe part of that pact, I'm starting to think now, may have not have been with the Highwaymen. Maybe the pact, that dark pact, was with the leftover sanctuary people. And Carol, unbeknownst to her, and the dark pact that only Michonne and Daryl have, wiped out whatever dark pact they made with the sanctuary when Carol destroyed them.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And that
could be.
That's like a burden that Carol may have to carry. And talk about, okay, hold on. Has anybody like linked up the fact that, and I didn't even think of this until just now, when Carol burned down Jeb, Regina, and everybody, did anybody even think to bring up the fact that she did the same thing in the prison? Like literally the same act.
I thought about.
Yeah. It was brought up in like different sites. It's like, oh, there's Carol burning down people again.
Right. But like, there's.
Killed Karen and David first.
She did. She killed them first. She killed them first.
Exactly. So,
but still, yeah, she's setting people on fire.
Right. Literally in the same manner, like gasoline, a match. Yeah. And so, I mean, I didn't link it up until we started talking about the possibility of her being responsible for the fall of the kingdom. You know? So, what does that mean?
Yeah, that got her kicked out of the prison. How did she not learn her lesson?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's about lesson. Like, maybe they deserved it, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But like, that's a whole lot of context that's going to have to come back, and we're going to have to figure out, because they did have Oceanside's weapons for some reason. We don't know how they did, or if they did something to get them. Jeb does say that they found them. He doesn't say he like robbed them and destroyed them to get them. So that kind of does bring us to Alexandria again, though, because one of the reasons why Michonne does not want to even send a delegate out is because of Carol. Well, mostly because Ezekiel did not want to leave the kingdom. Like it's just not in his mind to leave the kingdom and abandon the kingdom, even though the kingdom is falling. And by the end of the last episode, he's more open to it, post Cobra Strike. And this is like information that's lost in context, because now that we as viewers know that Ezekiel's opening to leaving the kingdom, I guess the question really is the end of this season, or it could be the end of the season. Do you think by the end of the season, Kingdom will abandon ship and go to Alexandria?
I think end of the season is fair. I don't think we'll.
Oh no! My battery just died.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. Will she get there in time?
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
We can hear you.
Stop it.
My
phone is dying, but you can still hear me.
Yeah, we still see your face. Is it because you have the camera app on or something, or like no? You have the.
No, it's the whatever you sent me. Wow.
Yeah, now she's gone. Yeah, she did. What about you gals? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think Ezekiel, the end of the season, will end up being that the kingdom as a whole jumps ship and has to go to Alexandria?
Maybe out of the result of what happens at the fair.
I know what
Yeah, I think we're leading up to me, like, I feel like it would be a travesty to not end the season with the fair. Like, it has to, like, the fair. Yeah.
Well, it is the next day, by the way. So, I mean, the delegation.
But we're gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but I feel like it is technically the next day, but I feel like we're gonna get like it's basically like everything's reaching a crescendo where basically Daryl and Connie and Henry and Lydia, they're basically leading this whisper group, into basically like their area, because they're, hot on their tail chasing after them. So at the same time, this fair is in the process of happening. So I think it's all just going to just collide essentially. And I think that's going to be, the season. It has to be the fair. If the fair doesn't happen, there's going to be a lot of angry people, myself included.
Viewers,
yeah.
I can see it happening the episode after next.
It's got to happen. The season finale. It's got to happen.
Do you think it's going to be like season 7 and 8, where that takes place within a 2-week span or 1 month span or something? Like, because you're talking about like episodes that will span a matter of a day.
We still have 5 episodes left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the fair is technically the next day, and it's already evening.
Right.
I know, but I just feel like
maybe one episode will be a back episode.
There's definitely going to be a flashback episode for sure.
I see.
So we're definitely doing flashback. I mean, at least one is definitely going to be a flashback.
Yeah, so I left a comment on one of Michael Satrazemis's posts with tagging like Tom Paine, and I was like, it sounds to me like we may have one more scene with Jesus, like one more flashback with Jesus. Yeah. And Michael Satrazemis liked that comment, so I'm not sure what that means.
Well, I think there's definitely going to be a flashback, so I think that's definitely happening at least one episode. I don't know if it is just going to be one, but for sure at least one. And I think that they released the titles for the rest of the episode this season, and I think the last 2 episodes are like, I think the second to last one is called The Calm Before, and I think the last one is called The Storm. So I'm just sort of like, what happened? I mean, and I don't know, like if I think about the comic, like I don't know necessarily like how long the fair spanned, like, because the fair could be 3 days, you know what I mean? It could be a 3-day fair or something. So what happens at the fair doesn't necessarily mean that it happens on like day 1, you know?
And that's what I'm thinking. I mean, especially with the introduction of these highwaymen. I'm not and like I said last episode, I'm not 100% certain that it's going to turn out the same way in the comic as it does in the show.
But I do think it would be a travesty to not kind of like, I don't know.
Well, I think things are going to happen, but I think they're going to shift responsibilities for what
But then
happens.
that would be the travesty, because then it's like, what's to fear about the whispers, you know? Like, I mean, yeah, they're fearful, but it's like what happens at the fair is what makes them so like menacing. And I feel like I don't want them to kind of like jump the boat and have too many like antagonists going on. It's like, if the whispers are the threat, the whispers are the threat, or is this other group the threat? Or is it like we have multiple, like, I mean, like, I don't want them to kind of like start going all over the place, you know, and, you know, fully develop like what your story arc is. It's like, if it's the whispers and they are like the new threat that we have to overcome, it's like, you know, okay, this is flush them out, you know? Right. But to add in another antagonist and we're going to flesh both of these out too. Like, I mean, I don't know. So
it's like you're mixing the Terminus people with the governor. It's
exactly.
The short story of the Terminus, and then like with this big overarching governor story, right?
Right. It just, you know, it's one or the other to me. And I think that if they take what happens at the fair and give the responsibility to another group that's not the Whispers, it's going to really kind of make the Whispers look sort of like
unnecessary or whatever.
Unnecessary,
or like it lessens the impact. Yeah,
it lessens the impact. It makes them kind of unnecessary. It doesn't really give them like weight, because once they do what they do, it sort of makes it seem like, okay, this is a formidable threat, and we need to take some sort of action against this.
I mean, I think it means rock in a hard place. I think there's going to be a choice, a Sophie's choice. If you really think about it, like if you have these two entities, and if one of those entities was like something they encountered in the past that somebody has dealt with already, but now they have to deal with them again. And then now we're building up, because it's like I was saying before, the terror builds up, then falls down. People fall in love. The terror builds up even higher. People, kiss, kiss, kiss. And then now the terror leads up to a beheading of some sort. So you've got this building up, and nothing has really happened yet, right? Nothing, effectively, to any of our group. Right. So, but now you have this enemy that they've dealt with in the past that we have no idea about. And now they're coming back in the present to another community. So you have this mystery here, and then you also have this tension building aspect here. I don't know if these worlds are going to collide. These two entities are going to collide somehow. But all I know is that who's in the middle? That's crazy to me. You've got this wall coming up, and now they're just closing in on our communities. And many people are going to get crushed. By this.
More than one, for sure.
Yeah. Do I think... Here's what the only thing I'm sad about, and this is just me being selfish. Me being selfish is like, well, I was hoping the Highwaymen would be something bigger. But as these things go, I mean, I think they're going to dispatch them really quickly, and then the Whispers, while they're down, will just like overtake them like I overtook my mic just now.
They could be, I mean, these people potentially could end up being something like the wolves that basically were eliminated immediately.
Right, exactly.
Like in one episode, you know, it was like, okay, we're done. Or even Terminus, really. I mean, they went in and blew up Terminus in one episode.
Exactly, you know? Why I mentioned them before. Yeah. And that's why I said it sucks for me, because I put so much stock in the Highwaymen, which I have to call them that now instead of the Riders. But you know, that's just my ego. So
I mean, they just can't overextend it. They have to pick one entity or the other. Otherwise, it's going to become like it's. They have to keep it simple, because I feel like that was the big detriment back in season 7 and even season 8. It was just like too much. It was, you know, it's like they've been able to keep pace this season very well.
See, I like that though. I kind of like what they did there.
What, this season?
No, back when they did the wolves and the Alexandria issues, like interpersonal issues, because it would have been just boring if they were dealing with just Alexandria.
Right.
But, like, you throw this threatening element just on top of each other.
But that was back in what season? The wolves were season 6? They were already at Alexandria. So yeah, it probably was season
6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam died and all that, and yeah. Oh, Rachael couldn't come back. Yeah, I that's really all I have. But oh man, I mean, I do love that scene with Daryl up on the side of that building on a balcony trying to shoot Beta down in the crowd.
Yeah.
In the next episode.
Daryl versus Beta round 1.
Yeah.
Excited.
I have a really bad feeling about that. Now, I'm not saying somebody dies, but I really do.
I don't know. I don't think
Beta's going to hand him his ass.
Yeah, Beta's in my mind, Beta's definitely going to hand him his ass, and like Daryl will live to fight another day, of course, but Beta's going to walk away from that.
Dog trying to like intervene a little bit.
Whom?
Dog.
Oh, maybe.
Oh.
Maybe Lydia too, by the way.
Yeah.
I've been noticing. There's like some scenes where she pops up like all of a sudden like this. And like I just have a feeling, she like Beta throws her aside and then she wakes up and she just like Beta in the back or something. Yeah. But I don't know. But anywho. Yeah, the Guardians. Like I just wanted to mention one more rule that Lydia breaks. And it was very interesting because you remember the decapitation scene, and she's talking to the guy and saying crying is a weakness. Right. And like she just stabs him in the side, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the scene with Lydia, and Lydia's crying and Alpha still doesn't kill her. And like that's just another rule that Alpha's just allowing to slide.
Yeah.
You know, for Lydia, for the sake of her daughter. So wait, so Carol, you have like some unique, I mean, it seems like she's being, I don't want to say consistent with the comic book in that respect.
Who, Alpha?
Like how she makes exceptions for Lydia. But it seems like there's a little bit more going on here.
I think that they're kind of elaborating more on the show, which is good because in the comic, I feel like
it's not obvious.
They kind of left it a little bit more one-dimensional in the comics. There wasn't as much depth as they're doing here, which is good. You know, they're definitely giving it more dimension to the relationship and all of that. Whereas in the comic, it's sort of like, you know, it's not fleshed out. The relationship isn't as fleshed out. And it's like, yeah, this is like a mother-daughter, but it's not, you're not seeing these nuances in terms of like her giving her a pass because it's her daughter or things like that. You only really see one moment in the comic where she's sort of like, I think it's in the comic, Lydia does run away or not. No, she doesn't run away. In the comic, I think Alpha basically gives her away to Rick and Carl and crew, because obviously they're still alive in the comic. Right. And because like Lydia's weak. So she doesn't kill her, but she kind of banishes her. And it's like, look, you know, you're not cut out for this. So yeah, you need to go with them. But she feels terrible about it because that is her daughter, you know? So in the comic, like you do see like her have a moment where she's kind of like, you know, has a moment of weakness and is teary, and, you know, another Whisper sees her and tries to console her and things like that. And she stabs him kind of similarly to how she stabs this guy. But she does it because she wanted to make sure that nobody could see her being weak. So this guy saw her being weak. So she kills him, and Beta shows up and she's like, oh, he tried to attack me, so I had to take him out, which he didn't. He was trying to comfort her. But she can't have anybody seeing her in a moment of weakness. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm
wondering how that gets further. And it's kind of like the exact opposite portrayal. Because you remember how like Negan, our biggest complaint was that Negan was a little too over the top, a little too much like the comic initially in the show. And then they dialed him back and just chose the right times for him to chime in and be Negan. Whereas with Alpha, they give her extra. They make her extra.
They've done a very good job. They've done a good job of fleshing her out. Negan, they didn't do as good of a job. Like Negan suffered from not having enough dimensions to him. Like I think that if they would have done the Negan backstory, because there is a Negan backstory in the comics, so they could have like done a flashback episode or something and given him some more dimensions or just something. And I think that would have gone a long way to make him a more complex character.
Well, here's the question though: do you think they figured it out eventually? Like on screen, they tightened it up some, eventually.
I think eventually they kind of figured it out.
Yeah, because it feels like like I think around. I mean, the definitive moment where, sorry.
Like when he mentions it to Gabriel, like about his wife and how he messed around on her and that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that. I was gonna say like when you knew that this was a different kind of Negan was like. I just remember that speech with him and Michonne over the walkie-talkie. Right. Like I felt the impact of all the things that they were trying to do that season, and like just right when his foot hit the floor, that's when I felt it. It was like, this is it. Yeah, exactly. No more talk.
Yeah.
Clack, clack, clack. I remember that because I edited a video of that for like the end of one of our episodes because I just thought it was just so powerful. Right. Yeah. Wow. The episode where Simon dies. Go figure. Brings it back all the way to that. The challenge that we mentioned at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. That was my episode.
Was that? Yeah, that was your episode. There you go. And who brought that up first? Rachael. Like it's just there's this like thing going around. Yeah.
There you go.
How cool. I would say the only other observation that I had, and I love when I see these things, is those little bits of room for comedy. Like I noted 3 separate things was like when Henry looks back at Lydia and Beta pulls him like back. I just thought that was funny. And Eugene's point system charts, that was pretty funny. And then like that scene, the outtake that ended up being part of the show with Daryl's dog, like picking up the bow and it snapping, that wasn't supposed to happen and they just kept it in there. So, I mean, these are things that we noted like in seasons past, like about how like the show made little room for some funny, like just to throw in there every now and again, like an eye roll here and there. Like okay, first season or second season, Dale face. I miss Dale face. Where he does that like it's like a stare, like what am I dealing with? I roll, just like that. Just moments like that in the show they just need to bring back again. And then which is why I feel like this feels like what often people say is like season 9's kind of like a bringing it back to like season 1, 2. There's a little bit of that feel in there. So anywho, everybody, I think we're tired, so we're gonna go now. And we only just started the stream on Instagram for our second hour or third hour.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever. Well, we finished 2 hours, so there you go. Right. But wouldn't it be kind of cool if we did that? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, everybody. So sad that we lost Rachael somewhere because her battery flipped out. So with that, everybody, we are Squawking Dead. Subscribe, like, comment. Let's keep this conversation going. Tell us what you liked about this episode. And we'll catch you next week with even more hosts. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. I'm going to end this stream right now. And one last stream. Oh.